Hello and welcome to the Becoming Show. Today is episode number 7, and the topic is on love. And I get to be the one to share with you this talk because it's kind of like I wanted to share everything I could first so that I can bring other people on and then have their perspective on things. And you know what? When it comes to love, even though even though I don't have much experience as I only had one love in terms of one boyfriend, one husband. So I don't have a lot of like pain or suffering or struggles with that. However, I'm human. We all have problems. We all have problems. But I do know that there's a few tools, there's a few mindset shifts that will help a lot, not only in terms of your relationships, but also in terms of how you see life, so that it becomes good no matter what. So that it becomes, and by what I mean by good is not by the standard of what people say, but it becomes good because it is what it is. And it's just a matter of accepting it, dealing with it, and being at peace with it. And I'm actually going to share some real concrete tools and mindsets, the things that I've learned that has helped me so much. And it's probably perhaps one of the secrets as to why I'm always so happy, even though things may not always be smooth. But I am happy because I understand that number one, this will also change. And number two, I see beyond just the surface level. I look underneath and I stop reacting to what's on the surface. So what that means is this. It means that if you listen to this talk, your mindset about people, about situations will be different. It'll be like once you've heard it, you can't unhear it. Uh, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. That's that kind of thing. So, okay, so let's dive in. When it comes to love, it's not just the uh, boys and girls love. There's so many kinds of love. Yes, the partnership, the boys and girls, or whatever relationship, what type of relationship you have in your life. But then there's also the parental love, the siblings love, the friendship love, the co-workers love, they're the strangers love, where you see someone in need and you want to help them. So there's the love here is very, it ranges from lust, which is, between sexuality and all that, to pure love. The kind of love that I'm talking about today is pure love, even though it might be for husbands and wives or partners. But we're talking about the pure love side, not the lust side. I'll have someone, an expert, speak on that on a later talk. But for this show, we're talking about real love. And real love cannot exist without understanding and without acceptance of the person that you're actually loving. There's a misconcept, and I don't know if you've run into this before, but sometimes we expect people to understand us, to get us, to know us because they've been with us for a long time. For example, parents and children, or husbands and wife, where they've been in a relationship for a long time. And we expect them to read our minds, and we expect them to understand what we need. But you know what? The first thing, that we should, that I've learned to how to love. First of all, how to love myself, but then also how to love other people. And that is this is one rule that I've pretty much has helped me a lot. And that is, it is not anyone else's job to love you the way you want to be loved. It's not their job. And it's not your job to love someone else the way that they want to be loved. Because most likely, number one, even if they tell you exactly how they want to be loved, you may not be able to provide that for them. It's not their job to love you the way that you want to be loved. That's your job. So if you get that, then now everything else becomes much easier. And if this part you disagree with, or if this part is where you feel like, nah, I want people to love me the way that I want, how I want it, then you're setting yourself up for a lot of pain and suffering, because that is the impossible. And if that is your expectation, then you can shut off and stop listening, because I've got nothing else to help with that. Okay, so everything that I'm sharing today starts with that basis foundation, and that is, it's not their job to love you the way that you want. That's your job. It's not other people's job to love us the way we want to be loved. That's our job. Okay? If that lands, or at least if that is something that you can begin to accept, then we have a chance of having an amazing, wonderful life with everyone else around us, because that is the foundation. Okay. Now, secondly, previously I've already shared that the happiness, the quality of our life depends entirely on the quality of relationships that we have in our life. And science has proven that longevity, how long you live, and how healthy you are, how happy you are, is most correlated to the type of relationships that you have. Not correlated with the type of money in your account, or the career that you have, or where you live. None of that. It has everything to do with the relationships that you have. And so therefore, this is the reason why, if you were to compare people in countries where by far, in terms of the standard of living, they are much poorer, they are much less fortunate than North America's, where we have more than we can, like, we have everything in terms of comfort, in terms of food, in terms of convenience, in terms of access to education, healthcare, freedom, everything. So by far, the third world countries, they have much lower standards than us. And yet, if we were to measure the level of happiness, the level of content, their level of fulfillment, they beat us by far. In fact, in terms of the ratio or the scale of happiness, North America ranks at least, I think it was 76th in terms of ranking. It's really bad. It's not good at all. Even though in terms of wealth, in terms of everything else, we're like at the top 10. But in terms of happiness, we're like at the bottom of the 100. Why? It boils down to the relationships, because in those poor country, what if you didn't know about poor country, is that usually they don't have babysitters, or they don't go to school the way that we do here, where everybody is separated and on their own. They depend on each other to support each other, whether it's watching the children, or whether it's cooking together, or whether it's doing things together, because they actually needed that communal support, that village relationship. We were not kidding when they say it takes a village to raise the children. It does, because that's how they raise the children, that way. And because of that quality, the relationship that they have is so powerful, is so close, it's so giving. And that's the reason why their quality, their happiness level is so high, even though wealth wise and everything else, they're very low. Okay, so putting that aside, why is it that here in North America or everywhere else in the world, where supposedly we have everything at the touch of our fingers, everything, like in terms of food, we can just hit Uber Eats. In terms of shows, we can just watch anything. In terms of access to internet, education, all the books, everything is is at the button of our finger. That's it. And yet the relationships we have are very strained in the sense that some of us might be in a relationship, but yet we're lonelier than ever. We feel not understood. We feel alone, even though sleeping right beside our partner, but we feel alone. We feel lonely because there's no connection. There's no walking together. There's no sharing. There's no deep connection. There is, it's just it's kind of like being roommates. And that has a lot to do with the safetyness, how safe you feel being around this person. Because the safer you are to be able to share anything, that's how deep the relationship is. And this is not just between partners. It could be with friendship. It could be with parents and children. This is the reason why one of the biggest gift that if you have children that you can give your children is not to force your intentions, force your desires on them, or scold them when they don't do it your way. Because the more you do that, the more they know that they don't care how, the more they know that you don't care how they feel. You don't care that they do it the way that makes them feel good. You only care about making them do what you feel good. So that only gives them more reason to lie to you, to not tell you when they're in trouble. Not because they want to, but because you've taught them that it's not safe to come to you. And I'm speaking this from my own experience. Even though we love them unconditionally, we will do anything for them, we would die for them. But if we were to impose our own wills, our own wishes, our own desires, our own dreams on them, and that's not what they want, you have already shattered the trust, the safety zone between you and your children. Now, I'm saying this so that, first of all, when it comes to building a relationship, most of us would think that it takes two to tango. Most of us would think that it takes two to get into an argument, to get a divorce. But in reality, whenever there is, well, actually not in reality, because reality is not how it could be. the reality is actually very, how do I put this nicely? It sucks. And I'm not saying I'm above this at all. I'm just saying that whenever there is something that is happening that is straining my relationships, I know the reason why. And I the how soon do I catch it? How soon do I see it after it happens? Is the time that I'm trying to share here, where if it used to be that I was boiling in 8 hours of anger, and now because I wake up from it faster, now I stop being happy again and knowing what happened, and forgiving myself or the other person within 4 hours. I just saved myself 4 hours of agony. So my entire purpose of this talk is to share with you the strategies, the tools, the mindset that is going to help you takes much faster to wake up, to get out of that bad mood where you feel like you're a victim, where you feel like you're being hurt, you're being you're suffering because someone else did something to you. Okay, so there's a few concepts here that I would like to go through. The first thing is, when it comes to judging, people, and by the way, we can't help it because the fact that we exist, and the fact that we have life experiences along the way, and because we can see, we can hear, all of these senses that that comes into our mind, our body, we have no choice but to judge, and that is just normal. This is where we can actually train how to see people differently, so that it will immediately changes how you see everything. And putting aside the meditation techniques and all that helps a lot. But I'm going to share with you the things that I'm sharing with you today doesn't require you to become a meditator, but it does require you to see things differently. Okay. So when it comes to judging people, how do you normally judge people? Do you judge them by their actions, or do you judge them by their intention? Okay. These two are very different. And if you've ever said something, when you open your mouth, inside you meant something else, but when you open your mouth and you couldn't take it back because you already said it, and you knew that what you said wasn't good. That was not the intention. Or sometimes you do something with an intention to help, and the result is you didn't help at all. You made it worse. Have you ever done anything like that? I'm so guilty of that. I am so guilty of that I kind of, sometimes I stop myself before I do anything, because I need it to just, before I act too fast, because I tend to do things very fast. So now I tend to stop myself and think a little bit before I act. But just think, do you judge people by their actions or by their intention? And then I want to ask you also, do you judge yourself by your actions or by your intention? Because most likely, if you are normal, including myself, we tend to judge ourselves with intentions, because we know our intention, and the action, whatever we do, how it turns out, we can't control that. That is like, it's almost like it's what you try to do, and what actually happens, and the result of what happens is out of your control. But you do know that your intention was A, but the actual result that happened because of your actions is actually B. But because we know our intention, so that's why we tend to forgive ourselves faster, or we tend to judge ourselves less, because we judge ourselves by our intentions, because we're aware of it. In fact, you don't take action until you have formulate in your mind what you want to do, and that is the intention. So that's why we usually judge ourselves by our intentions. But the opposite happens, is that when things happen, we tend to judge other people by their actions and not their intention. Because number one, we don't know their intention. We cannot read their mind, but we can see what they did, what they say. We can see the result. And sometimes it's not that great. And so if we can just flip it around, and this takes practice in the sense that before we jump into the judgment of someone, or let's say we jump into a judgment already, but instead of staying there, now that you've heard this, now reverse it and say, okay, wait, that's their action. What was their intention? Was it their intention to hurt me? Or was their intention to actually help me? If you can actually just flip it around, when someone said something that you don't like, when someone does something that you don't like, flip it around and ask, what is the intention here? And if the relationship is close enough, if your relationship with that person is close enough that you can actually ask and not put it inside your belly as it grows, then you will be able to break that any kind of yuckiness that's happening between you and them. And when there's a saying that if you actually love that person and they actually love you, then to have a hard conversation actually deepens the relationship and makes the relationship even better. And these are the times, these are the hard conversations, because instead of just hurting on your own and not sharing and not checking in what their intention was, you're just assuming that, well, they don't care about me. They hate me. They're trying to hurt me. That on the surface is the action. But what is the intention underneath? And if you can actually have a close enough relationship to actually ask and clarify, this is where your relationship will go to the next level. Because either you will clarify that, oh my God, no, that was not their intention to hurt you at all. And then none of that feelings of yuckiness remains. Or you will find out that, wow, this person actually wanted to do that to me. And then what happens? It's still good for you, because then now it becomes a point of, okay, do I want to have this relationship and keep building into it, or keep feeding into this relationship, or should I just cut it out of my life? Either way is good. But what's not good is to suffer alone without clarifying the intention. And this is especially true for relationships that means a lot to you. Don't go to bed angry. Don't go, don't have a cold war in the bedroom or at home, because you feel unloved, you feel betrayed, you feel like they should know better. Why do they do this to me? All that. It's the action versus the intention. So that's the first tool that I would recommend, that that would help a lot in every relationship. And God, and for sure, I'm not only at the mercy of one of the things that I feel like I'm really good at is asking for forgiveness. I'm really good at that. And that's because I do have the right intention, but my action sometimes results in something that I didn't meant to be, or I didn't, or my intention is A, and yet the result is B. And I communicate that pretty um, freely, especially when I know there's a problem. I would usually be the first to clarify that instead of having to wait until things boil. Yeah, but so so this is where they say in a relationship, all it takes is one person to change in order for the relationship to change, and it's so true because if a relationship is meant to deepen and to grow stronger and better, all it takes is one person to be able to to make these kinds of initiations and guiding the relationship, because it'll come to the point where either the relationship will become much stronger and better, or it becomes a point of there is no reconciliation, there is no way we can stay together with this person, and I don't want to continue this relationship. It will come to that point. But either way, it'll be at the point of it'll happen, the breakup will happen in love, not in hatred. In love, in the sense that there is no commonality, there is no, the two of you staying together doesn't make sense anymore. It's not good for you, it's not good for them. Because if neither one of you is being happy in a relationship where, in spite of all the things that I'm going to share today, then perhaps, and I'm just going to call it straight, perhaps a divorce or a separation might be needed in order for you to see each other more clearly. And for me, a divorce is not a bad thing as long as you remain amicable and compassionate to each other, because you're doing it for the benefit of both. You're doing it for the good of both. It's not a revenge, it's not an escape, but it's a coming to a realization that you're just not meant for each other anymore. And letting go and giving each other the freedom to be is probably the biggest gift you can give each other. Okay, I don't know why I went that path, but it's supposed to be the opposite of that, right? I'm supposed to be sharing tools that is supposed to mend the relationship and not have a breakup. However, I'm just going to say it straight, and that is sometimes it's time to say goodbye. If you come to the realization that you've done everything and it just doesn't work, granted that you've done everything, because the things that I'm sharing, it only takes one person to do it. It only takes you to change or to try to change the whole relationship. So, okay. The next thing I want to share on the next mindset shift is the fact that when we love someone, when we give, it's not love, it's not actually giving if you actually expect something in return. If I give you this and I expect you to love me back or do something for me back, that's a transaction. That's not love. Just like imagine if you were to help someone on the street who needed some help, and you helped that person and then you walked away, never expecting to see that person again. Now that's called true help. That is love. That's humanity. That is love, compassion for someone else who's in need. In our relationship, the problem is because we live together, because we do so much for each other, if one person keeps giving and the other person keeps taking, it's really hard to not feel this is not fair. It's really hard to feel you want to keep giving and giving and giving without feeling hurt or without feeling this is just not fair. And this happens a lot in a relationship, including my own. And in my own relationship, if anything, I'm the taker. I tend to take and take. But here's the thing, I'm not saying this in my defense. I'm just saying it as in how I love, how I give love is different from how my husband loves me and gives me love. Just like earlier at the beginning when I said it's not my job to love him the way that he wants to be loved. That's his job. And I never got clear on that because I just do it like that. Like I don't expect him to love me the way that I want to be loved. And he doesn't. Just so to be clear, there are things that I wish he could read my mind, but he can't. And the truth is, I don't need him to love me the way that I want to be loved because I already gave myself that love that I needed. And so I am full. Whatever he does for me is a bonus, is something that in all honesty, I don't need. Not to say that I don't appreciate what he does, but all the things that he does for me. If I want to be loved, that's not how I want to be loved. That's how he wants to be loved. And that's why he's giving it to me that way. But you know what? Luckily for me, we have enough love and trust and acceptance that we don't have a problem. But in this case, I'm the taker, he's a giver. And sometimes, and here's the thing, the things that he gives, sometimes I don't even want to take it. But he gives, okay, I'll take. But if I have a choice, I don't want him to give those to me. So in this case, just to get you, so I'm just sharing transparency that my marriage is not perfect, but it works. It works because all it takes is one person to spray water on the fire when there's a fire instead of to spray gasoline and oil to make it worse. And I know when to spray water, okay? And because I understand what's happening underneath when there's a fire happening, when there's something that comes up. That's why I'm saying all it takes is one person to be able to create that loving environment in the house, no matter what. Okay, the second part, what that I wanted to get to, the second mindset is that love, when given out, imagine love as a circle. As it comes out, it will return to you. Guaranteed, it will return to you. When you give out love, you will receive love. But the only thing is this, it might not be from the same person that you gave out the love to. And if you get that, if you understand that, this will change how you feel about life, not just about love. When we give out, we will always receive back. And not just love. If you give out hatred, you will also receive hatred back. If you give out anything, it will always come back in a circle. It's just that it doesn't, it may not come back from the same person. And if you are expecting it to come back from the same person, then you will be blind to all the other people that are giving the love to you. But but you blocked it. You don't see it. All you see is this person that you want the love so badly, because you pour into them so much love, and you're not getting anything back from them, and you're only focusing on them. You're blocking all the other love that are coming from other people. And the other people could be people that are in your inner circle, or it could be strangers who just meet you for the first time, and they still want to help you and love you. So understand that instead of blocking other people loving you because you're focusing on only one person that is not loving you back, if you just have that mindset shift, that when you give out love, you will always receive it back, but it doesn't have to be from the same person that you gave it out to. So what does that mean? It means that in life, sometimes you might love someone and you want that person to love you back, to marry you, to stay with you, to be your partners for life. And sometimes that doesn't happen. But if you are only focusing on the fact that this person doesn't love you back, and you feel depressed, and you feel angry or hatred, instead of that, if you do that, you will not be able to receive, because you're actually blocking the love that is actually coming in, but from other people. You're not seeing it. And you might say, well, I see it, but I don't want that love. You might say that. But you know what? If you actually receive, if you're actually a good giver, most of us are good giver. Oh, okay, maybe not good giver. We have to learn how to give, okay? But most of us are worst receivers. And by worst, I mean it's easier to give than to receive. Because when we give, we feel good. When we give, when we help someone, we always feel good inside. But when we need help, it's very hard to ask for help. It's very hard to actually sometimes to put down the mask, put down the shield, and actually say, I need help, and ask for help. It's extremely hard to ask for help. And so therefore, all the love that are just waiting to pour on you, you're blocking it because either of your ego, or because of you're just a bad receiver, because as in you've not trained yourself to receive with grace. One of the biggest gifts that you can actually give yourself is to ask for help whenever, like little help, whenever you can. Because every time you ask for help, you're actually making someone very happy because they can help you. And of course, we're talking about it depends on the type of ask that you're asking, right? There are some asks that is very simple, and the exchange is very easy, and the relationship builds. In fact, a great friendship, a great relationship, there's always helping and giving and receiving, and giving, receiving, not as a transactional, but as a checking in. How are you today? I'm thinking of you. I miss you. Just a text, or a call, a surprise call, or a surprise visit if you're close enough. If your friendship is close enough, you don't have to announce you're coming. Just drop by with a cake or something and have a good time together. A great relationship is built upon giving and receiving, but not as a transactional exchange, but as a I miss you. Let's get together. Or Today is just a crap day. I need to cry. Those are the moments that shows if you have the kind of relationship, if you have the kind of people in your life that you can do that with, that you are rich, you're wealthy. This kind of relationship is the kind of relationship that we want to accumulate, not the dollars, but these kinds of relationships. Okay, so when it comes to love, the art of loving or giving, and the art of receiving and not blocking the love that is coming back to you, this is where you have to open your eyes and to see this. And if you haven't seen this before, now that you've heard this, try it. Next time you give love, next time you give, and wait to see if you receive love back in some capacity somehow. And by the way, don't expect it to come in the way that you want it to come back as. It'll come in the way that it's supposed to if you're not blind to it. It'll always come back. Now, there's one more concept, there's one more mindset, and this one is really powerful when it comes to building great relationships, or actually having a great life in general, because this rule applies to not just relationship, but also in life in general. And that is the art of being grateful for everything that you have. And trust me, this is not easy to do. It's not easy to do because we're so spoiled. We're so spoiled. We're so used to having it our way, to having the comfort, the success, or things done our way, that when things don't, that when things don't go your way, it's very easy to feel like shit hits the fan, everything is terrible, life sucks, and I want to die, kind of thing, because we're really weak. I mean, weak as in the ability to handle the stress, to handle the ups and downs. Not judging at all, just saying a few things, because I notice that if someone can be easily shaken and agitated and get angry for very simple reasons, for very, what do I call, mundane things that don't go our ways, it just shows that either that person has been putting up with a lot of shit in their life, and this just like is the last drop of a glass that is already overflowing. That's it. Or another analogy is like this is the last drop of sand on this side of the scale where it tips, and then everything kind of fall. And that is because they've been boiling underneath already, and now this is just the last thing that makes everything explode. The art to conquer all of that, the tool to conquer all of that, especially in relationship, is the art knowing how to be grateful. Typically, people write great appreciation journal, like they write down every morning or every night before they go to bed, what are the 3 things they're grateful for today. That is a typical journal, a grateful journal. What I'm grateful for journal, and it helps. It works somewhat, but I would say it's not as strong. It's not as powerful as the other way, which is take it another notch. Don't say what I'm grateful for, but actually think about what if tomorrow I don't have that anymore. Take it another notch where that is taken away from you. So instead of saying, I'm grateful for my hands, my fingers, because I can hold the cups and drink. Instead of saying that I'm grateful for my body, my hands, take it another level and say, wow, what if I no longer have my hands? What if I lose it? Because then it will actually get you to the point where you really appreciate having your hand. Have you ever like hurt your finger, paper cut, or with a knife cooking, and it hurts for days, and you can't do anything with that finger, can't play guitar, or it actually just hurts? Those are the days when you actually realize, wow, how important is my finger? Whereas normally we wouldn't even think about it. We just expect it to be there. We just expect it to perform like it's supposed to. Same thing with the person that you live with or the person that you love. Instead of saying, I appreciate, I'm so grateful for having my partner or my children. Instead of saying that, imagine you're no longer able to call that person. Imagine you're not able to ever visit that person, hear them talk. Now, you've taken that level of gratitude way, way higher. Because this is where you actually finally realize the emptiness without that person. You realize the emptiness of not being able to give them a call, to have a good cry, or to have a good laugh. So the art of being grateful, the art of appreciating all the things that you have in your life. This one tip, instead of being mad at how the bill this month is so high for your water or for your electricity, instead of saying, why did we spend so much, 500, 800 this month? Instead of that, imagine what happens if you have no heat, no electricity, no water. And that has happened recently, right? Because of the flooding and all that. Some of us have suffered from no water, especially if you live in a condo. Oh my God. I don't, but my friend does. And one day I was visiting her, and for an entire day, they were fixing the plumbing system. She could not, well, the bathrooms, we couldn't flush and stuff like that. Boy, we take those things for granted. Imagine if that is taken away from you. Instead of we're gonna complain and bitch about the things that are mundane, unnecessary, a waste of our energy, Instead of that, actually say and think, wow, I'm so lucky to have it. Because imagine, what if it's taken away from me? That will take your level of gratitude to a whole new level. And so, if there is someone that whenever you think of, what if that person disappears tomorrow? What if that person is no longer in your life? If you think of that person and tears or emotions come up, I did this a few times already, so right now I'm a little bit calm. But before, when I first did this exercise, when I think of my mom, for example, and I imagine that she's gone, wow, the tears just come up because there was so many unsaid things. If you think of someone you love and there are tears coming up, that means there is a conversation that is waiting to happen, or there is a hug or of some sort, a visit that needs to happen. And I don't know about you, but my mom is already 84, and I don't have that many years left with her. Maybe she has, I'm hoping that she'll hit the 3 digits. Uh, and I have, I don't know, 15, 16 years left if she hits the digits, the 3 digits. And sometimes all it takes is to imagine that. Imagine that you lose them. Imagine that they no longer, they're taken away from you. And then everything that you have is just beautiful as they are. So think about the relationship that you have right now. If there is any struggling, strain, or bad things happening, just imagine if that person is gone completely. If the first thing you feel is relief, then it's time to have a real talk with yourself. Is this the type of relationship that you want to be in? Because then come back to the first rule where it's not their job to love you the way you want to be loved. That's your job. Okay. When it comes to us, when we're in the midlife crisis age, we actually have two generations: the parents, the aging parents, and then also our children who are growing up. The good thing about the children is as they grow up, they become more and more independent, and you don't have to worry about feeding them, about their well-being anymore, because they're old enough to take care of themselves. However, the teenage years, the pressure of school, especially if it's you imposing on them the pressure, sometimes we're actually hurting our children without realizing it. I've seen parents who put all of their dreams, all of their expectations, all of their what they would like to have done themselves on their children. And they are imposing their dreams and the way that they are, the way that they like things to get done on their children because they love them, because they think they love them. And meanwhile, the kids are withdrawn. The kids are trying, waiting for the day they hit 18 and they can fly away. Or the kids are just not coming to them when there's a problem. And that is the saddest thing, when we actually love the kids so much, and yet we're the one that caused this big barrier where there is no connection. The fear they have in disappointing you, the fear they have when they try to tell you what they really want, all of that, I think, would be a biggest regret of a parent eventually, when they see how much how much um, pressure they're putting on their children. And then on the other hand, there's also children who are extremely entitled and needy and spoiled. So I'm actually talking about both ends. And the parents are just giving in to whatever they want. And that is, they're hurting them just as bad, if not more, than the other way. Because in this case, they're enabling their children to become disabled. They're enabling the children to become useless, weak. Not intentionally. None of this is done intentionally. Remember the part where the intention and the action? The intention is to love them, to give them love. But the action and the result is, what are we turning them into? Sorry about this disconnection. So I'm back, and this is a great place to wrap up. And I'm gonna finish with this analogy. You probably already heard, um, life is a season, right? We have summer, uh, fall, winter, and then spring, and the season will keep cycling, and that never changes. So we will always go through cycles, ups and downs, the cycle of life, the circle of life, all of that. But I just heard of a really good analogy that perhaps paint this picture even better. And I heard this from Jay Shetty on his podcast. And he talked about, instead of the four seasons, he talked about life is kind of like four things: a school, a hospital, a movie, or a mountain. And depending where you are in your life, the phase that you're in, if you're in the school phase, this is where there is a lesson for you in life. This is where things are hurting, things are not going as planned, things are just not what you want it to be. And there's a lesson in there that you need to learn. And if you don't learn it yet, life will keep throwing the lesson at you until you learn it. And the sad, well, it's not sad, it's just the way it is. You will keep running into the challenge until the lesson is learned. And that is the school phase. Nobody escapes that. Nobody. From the poorest to the richest, from the, and speaking of our lives and or our how it looks, how it looks on Facebook, how it looks on Instagram, on TikToks, you have no idea how people are, what their life is like behind that post, behind that picture, in public versus in private. There's a saying, if your public life is good, but your private life is even better, boy, that's the life. That's when you have it. If your public life is good, but your private life is even better, congratulations. But if the opposite is true, where if your public life is good, but your private life sucks, this is really sad. It's sad because not only you don't have the time or the energy, instead of dedicating your time and energy to actually improving your life and healing your life, you're spending energy and time on the public. And the gap, the inauthenticity keeps getting bigger and bigger. That doesn't help you at all. And yet, some people are still stuck in that phase. And that is a lesson that they will need to learn when they're ready for it. By the way, when it comes to showing people the lesson or explaining to other people that we love, the lesson that they cannot see, that they're supposed to see, it doesn't work. Stop wasting your time or energy trying to change other people, trying to make people see what's happening. The lesson is right in front of them, but they don't see it because either they are not ready to see it or they're not willing to see it yet. And you cannot change them. You cannot force them to change. Don't waste any energy trying to change other people. So speaking of the healing, the second phase that we all go through is the hospital. The hospital phase is where there's some healing that needs to be done. And if you're not spending time to heal, then there's every chance that you disappear. There's no recovery. There's no healing because you've left it to the point where there's no point of return. You've pretty much ignored all the signals, all the signs that your body needs healing, that your relationship needs healing. And here you are putting a Band-Aid on it if you need to, and feeling like, okay, a Band-Aid. Let's just put a Band-Aid on for now. Until it develops into a tumor or a cancer that is no more curable. So, same thing in the second phase, the hospital phase. If you're not doing anything to heal it, to heal whatever you need to heal, it will come to the point where either it'll break, it'll die, or you will. So pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your relationship. And know if it's in the hospital phase or not. This is SOS. This is the red zone. The first phase, the school phase, that's still the yellow light zone, but this is the red zone. Okay. And then the other phase is the movie phase. The movie phase is where things are just smooth, smooth sailing. Everything is awesome. There's a saying, um, it's easy enough to smile when life flows along like a sweet song. But a wise man is someone who can smile when everything goes dead wrong. And in the movie phase, everything is easy, everything is happy, everything is rosy. And in this phase, it's great. Everything is great. Enjoy it. And your job in this phase is to actually experience fully, to experience as much as possible the goods, the expansion, the luck. Remember the 4 types of luck? The luck that you're getting right now. But remember, the wise man is someone who can smile when everything goes dead wrong. So then the 4th phase is the mountain phase. The mountain is where you're going to have to climb up. And in order for you to climb, you're going to have the ability, the skills, the capacity to climb, to get to the top. And some people don't want to get to the top. Some people, they will just don't want to bother. And that's totally fine if that is their choice, because they want to remain where it's comfortable. But for those of us who actually want to get to the peak, to the top of that mountain, it takes courage, it takes grit, it takes learning skills, and it takes actually taking the steps, not just learning to get to the top. And these 4 phases will always cycle, kind of like the 4 seasons of life. And it'll keep changing. And how long does it last? Each phase, we don't know. But if for someone who can actually have the mindset that we've mentioned so far, intention versus action, are you judging people based on their intention or on their action? The love is a circle, giving and receiving. Don't expect it to come from the same person, but keep giving, keep loving, and be open to receive from anyone. And then the gratitude, how to be grateful. And then now the 4 phases of life. If you just understand these or take it to heart, now that you've heard them, you can't unhear it, you can't unknow it. And if you choose to try it, if you choose to put on this kind of thinking, the next time shit hits the fan, the next time something happens that you don't like, the next time that life throws you a curveball or a 2x4, hits you right in the head, hopefully, as you learn how to use all of this in your life, everything becomes easy because you become stronger. Life will always be hard. Life is not meant to be easy because life doesn't exist to please you. Life exists to make you stronger. Life is designed to make you stronger. And so the only way for life to be easy if you become stronger. And so with all of this, practice, play with it, experiment with it. The next time something like this happens, and let me know if any of this has helped you at all. Please share. I would love to hear. And if you have any other type of mindsets or tools that helps you, please share as well. I would love to listen and to hear. Thank you so much for following me. And if you like this, please share. And if you don't, share it with your friends anyway. Let them suffer for a change. I love that. It's so funny. I'm not very funny, but I really like that line. Okay, have a great weekend. Tomorrow I'll be sharing this in Vietnamese, and Sunday, the special day. I don't know what I'll be doing yet. That's the wild card day. We'll see. Have a great day. Bye bye.